The next question we get is, how does the court decide how to split up property? Is Texas a 50-50 division state? So what the code says is a fair and equitable division. Is 50-50 a fair and equitable division? Well, I've had judges that feel pretty strongly that that's exactly what that means, and you're going to have to really prove to them if you want something else. But I think most of our judges are more willing to accept that fair and equal or fair and equitable doesn't necessarily mean exactly 50-50. There is a list of other factors that the court is able to take into consideration. The number one that I see is the income of the parties. You might think, okay, well, I've earned more of the money, so that means I get more of the stuff. But the court actually tends to go in the other direction. If you have one spouse that out-earns the other, the spouse that earns less tends to be awarded more. So the next most common factor that we see is the children. The spouse that is getting the children is more likely to get more of the community estate. Now, keep in mind, and I think it's important to know this, when we say it's not necessarily 50-50, I think it's pretty rare for a court to go above 60-40. So that's pretty much the entirety of your play, between 50-50 and 60-40 in the very most extreme cases. So next, does Texas have alimony? Well, yes, but we don't call it alimony. We call it spousal support. I will tell you that Texas is very, very stingy when it comes to spousal support. And if you compare it to just about any other state, you're going to come off worse in the state of Texas than you are there. In the vast majority of cases, nobody is going to qualify to receive alimony at all. And when you do, it's going to be a limited amount for a limited amount of time. So how about separate property? Well, we've talked about that before, but the biggest exceptions to community property, the rule is if either party owns it and you're getting divorced, we're going to assume that the court can divide it and that it belongs to the marriage. The biggest exceptions to that are, did you own it before you got married? Or was it a gift? Or was it an inheritance? The other one is pain and suffering from personal injury lawsuit. Now, there are other exceptions beyond that, but I would say probably 98% of separate property comes under one of those. Everything else, the court is going to consider community property. So that's subject to being divided. Not necessarily 50-50, but in a fair and equitable manner.